Hello, everybody. Andrew Blake from the digitalaudiomanual.com with another episode of Cubase Tips for the week of January 30th, 2026. Let's talk about the Mediabay. In Cubase, the Mediabay is the area where everything is gathered together, your loops, different sound presets, really just so many things, with the idea to make it easier to have all those things in one spot that you can then drag into your project and help you with your productions. Currently, there's two ways to kind of go about it. One way is with the full Mediabay window. We come up to Media and then come down to the option that says Mediabay. You get this large dialog window showing various locations on your computer and various results from different categories on the right. We have another option over on the right side of the screen. If we go over and open up what's called the right zone, and then look at these tabs at the top, one of them says Media. This is what's known as the Media Rack. Just like the Mediabay, it has various ways to browse your various files and then bring them into the project. Let's start with this Media Rack. When you first open it up, you get a series of different pictures, and these pictures are known as tiles, which are basically shortcuts to the topics that you see. For example, this first one says VST Instruments, or you have one that says VST Effects, one that says Loops and Samples, one that says Presets, User Presets, File Browser, and Favorites. And yours may have different pictures than this. If you click on any of these tiles, then they take you to the different categories where you can start looking for various media files that you want to use. At any time, if you want to go back, if you look up towards the top left, there's a little picture of a home. When you hit that, then you're back to this home screen again. As you explore going through these various tiles, one of the first ones you're probably going to want to take advantage of is the one towards the bottom that says Favorites. This one allows you to set up your own particular shortcuts so you can get to them quickly without having to repeat tedious searches over and over again. For example, if I click on this Favorites option, I have some in here that I've already created, but up here on the right, I have one that says Add Favorite. And if I click on that, it opens up my file browser, and I can go anywhere on my computer, click that folder, use the option to select that folder, and now I can quickly go back at any time and browse the contents of that folder. Right next to this home picture, I can navigate to previous folders. So when I'm back at my favorites, if I want to remove one of these tiles, I just right-click on it and choose the option to delete it. At the top of this media rack, we have a simple search field where we can begin to look for something. For example, if I put in kick, then I'm going to begin getting a long list of various audio files that are labeled kick. Next to this search field, depending on whether you put something in here yet or not, you have a button that says Show All the Results. So in this case right now, we're seeing these tiles, but if I hit this Show All Results, now it moves into a list of all the possible files and their various categories, and many ways you can now browse through these various media files. All these headings that allow you to categorize these searches are called attributes. And right now there's a button lit up and it says to show or hide the attributes. Click on that, then those headings go away. So basically you have a lot of different ways to view these fields as well. Let's talk about automation. Automation in Cubase is mainly the ability to take moves like changing your faders or any number of other adjustments and make them happen automatically. So you basically do them one time, that information gets recorded, and then from that point on, Cubase can make those moves for you, allowing you to make much more expressive productions because the various parameters in your productions will be changing instead of just staying in one place all the time. Making any kind of automation is typically as simple as choosing this W button that you're going to see in any number of places. In this case, it's on this particular track. If I turn this on, it goes red, as well as the green button next to it that allows you to read this automation. And now if I play this project, simply by hitting the space bar, and then coming over and making a change like moving the fader, then all those changes have been written in as automation data. And if I play the project, even without me touching anything, the fader is going to move up and down and follow that automation data. There are various ways to engage this automation data, and one of the first things to look at is to explore the various automation modes. If we come up to our toolbar, and I'm going to right-click and make sure that this option that says Automation Mode is checked, then I get these options on the toolbar, and in this drop-down list are these various automation modes. First one being called Touch. We have an auto latch, and finally a crossover. If we go to touch, whatever I'm trying to automate is immediately going to respond, and as long as I hold my mouse down and move it, it's going to write automation. The minute I let go of it, If there's any existing automation, then it's quickly going to jump back and follow that existing automation. Using the touch mode is a pretty common way to use and write in your automation. If we switch over to the auto latch option, in many ways it works like the touch, but instead of jumping back to this existing automation, whenever you let go of the auto latch, it just stays at whatever that value is and continues from that point. Let me write some auto latch. I'm going to start it from the beginning and drag it down a little bit. Once I let go of it after I dropped it down, then it just stayed down until I finished writing my automation. Many times when you're going to write this automation, in this case like when I want to change a fader, natural instinct, if the fader is moving up and down, is to try to chase it with your mouse to grab onto it. But we don't have to do that because anywhere we click, whatever we're trying to automate will automatically move to where we've clicked, and we can begin to move it however we want to. And then if we look at this last option called crossover, this behaves in a way that allows you to write your automation, but as you approach the existing automation, it won't let you overwrite it. It will disengage, then just continue on the existing automation. One of the main purposes for this is to help keep you from overshooting automation values that you want to keep in place. Let's talk about the drum machine. Right now we're looking at the drum machine. It's another option we have to get percussion and drum sounds into our project. There's a couple of ways you can open up and get started with this drum machine. One option, if you have your lower zone open and you choose the tab that says drum machine, you'll have the option right here to add a drum track. If I click on this, I get the typical dialog. You usually want to go to this drop down and decide if you want a MIDI part or a pattern event. In this case, I'm going to choose MIDI part and say add the track. And now we have a drum machine opened up in the lower zone. When you first open up the drum machine, you have a bunch of empty pads that make no sound when you click on them, but a little yellow border goes around anything that you do click on. To get some sound happening, once you've clicked on one of these pads, then just come over into this middle area and choose one of your basic sounds, either a kick or a snare, or any of the sounds that are available here. For example, if I hit the kick drum, which is a main category, but then I come down to one of these subcategories of results, choose kick 1 for example, now I have this deep bass kick sound, with many options for customizing it further. Another quick way to get right into the sounds of this is to come up to the preset area that actually says track preset, or the little preset manager button. Click on that and you'll be given a good selection of various pre-made kits that you can choose from. If you double click on one to choose it, then right away you have some pre-assigned sounds. Again, there's many ways to begin recording your sounds, but a very simple way to get started, simply choose your drum track, arm it for recording, and then with some kind of MIDI trigger device, simply play a drum part. Once you've recorded some basic sounds, many times it's fun to go right back to the presets, and using your down arrow, you can listen to the results of some of these other kits. This drum machine has the option for 128 different pads, which you can access from this top grid area, and each one of these patterns have these little 4x4 grids. So you could fill up every one of these with completely different pads or various sounds, and then have quick access to all of them in one kit. So take a little time and put some of these tips to use as you continue to increase your knowledge and understanding of Cubase. And if you're looking for even further explanations on all these subjects like the Mediabay and using automation and the drum machine, be sure to click the link in the description of this video or stop by the digitalaudiomanual.com for more information. As always, it's great to have you here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.